I
I
have it stuck in
forgot
my
that we
head now.
used to do
Never
this.
gonna give you up.
I know it's
Never
in my
gonna
head
let
so
you
hard right now.
down. Never gonna turn around and hurt you. All right.
Hi, and welcome to our winter episode, our fourth and final of all the seasons. Perhaps might be my favorite season right now. I love
Ooh.
spring, and it's only because it's one season closer to spring.
Okay. That's why you love it.
I am Victoria, and I'm joined here with the lovely and beautiful Tara. What up, girl?
What up, girl? Here we are, bonus episode, last one of 2023.
Amazing.
And I think what a beautiful way to then slurp back into our darkness that is winter and rest before we start the new year, before we start our next journey into season 4. We have some beautiful ideas for what season 4 is going to bring. Every time we get nervous and we're like, oh my God, what are we going to talk about? Our guides are like, oh, well, here, boom, 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 boom. And we're like, oh, whoa. You know what I mean? But shall we freak check, my lady?
You go first.
Okay. I am fully feeling winter. I know it. We are just still in the shadow period between fall and winter, and we'll get more into what that really means. But I am looking to rest, and I am looking to rest heavy. However, the universe has other plans for me, and I have been very busy. So it's a very interesting space to be in where I know seasonally and cyclically how my body is asking to be tended to, but I also manifested a lot and have been giving a lot of opportunities. And, about a month or so ago, my guides were like, don't cry to us when you're overwhelmed. And here I am wiping tears, being like, I'm so grateful for me being overwhelmed. Overwhelmed with all good things. And when the challenges arise and I feel overwhelmed, it's a mirror for me to practice discernment, boundaries, for me to recognize what I need in that moment. So it's really interesting to feel the push. I think we're all feeling that around the holiday season where it's like, go, 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 have to get everything together, have to see everybody, have to do all these things while we're simultaneously being told to slow down by our bodies and our energy. So I think we're all in this weird transitional phase right now. Do you agree? You feeling that?
I do. I feel that deeply. As my deep, sexy singing voice is coming forth.
Whoa.
In the form of phlegm and mucus from a cold I've been battling. I think sometimes it's interesting to watch you, Tara, go through these spurts of having all this time to deepen your practice and have like all these epiphanies, and then have to go back to doing like very humanistic things throughout your day, and how I'm sure when you return to your practice, you savor it that much more because you're like, I've missed you, my sweet little sanctuary of knowledge and integration and time to just connect with yourself and your guides. So, yeah. I hate the saying, to whom much is given, much is required, but holy shit if that isn't our reality in this lifetime.
Oh, those who wear the crown have a heavy head, as they say. And as the queen, my neck is tired.
Someone rub this girl's neck.
Please. But enough about me, the queen. To you, my princess, how art thou?
Oh, darling. Actually, since I had a birthday last month, everyone has called me queen. And I'm like, I've finally entered out of the princess era into the queen era. And
welcome, your crown.
Thank you. I am feeling a deep call to no longer run away from my triggers, to face them head on. Being in relationship is one of the fastest ways to get to face your triggers, and I'm so grateful for who I'm in relationship with, whether it
Mm,
be partnership, intimate, friendship, family. Relationship is really where like the happening happens,
mm,
and I I just see things so differently now and have prioritized my mm, responsibility in who I'm bringing to the table and how I'm bringing it to the table.
mm,
I I just want to love and be loved, and I wish it were that simple, but holy
mhm,
shit if I'm not like just having memories of different lifetimes, this lifetime, just seeing it just so differently than I've seen it in the past, where I begin to tell a different story. And I feel this unraveling happening that is
mm,
bringing me this lightness, this sense of liberation, but also this like whew, this courageous act of confronting my shadow in a way that I've avoided for a very long time. But here we
mm.
are.
And
And
maybe
what a
not so
perfect
much.
oh, y- you
I was
go,
just gonna
you go.
say that's exactly what I was gonna say. Maybe not so much avoided, but just didn't have a good opportunity to dive deep into. Because, like you said, and I was the same way. I was single for 7 years, and I was like, I'm working on me, and I'm feeling so good. And I got in a relationship, and I was like, why do I feel so terrible?
Whew.
Because relationship is that expedited process. So what a beautiful opportunity to watch you grow and actually have a safe relationship, to a safe container to be able to confront your shadow. So, got to be grateful for the uncomfortability that we have to feel all the time. No, not all the time, but that we have to feel in cycles. And what a great segue to our topic on winter. Our last season episode. We have hit all four. This makes the fourth. Mm. So as the seasons come next year, go back to our last episodes. Who knows? Maybe we'll do another one. We'd love to go back, but I'm happy that we have these as some foundations here.
Me too.
So winter, winter, winter. We are here for winter. I love winter. Your girl's a winter baby. January 8th. Don't forget it. It's coming. Wish me happy birthday. I will remind you every goddamn day because I love my birthday and I want everyone to celebrate because it's the best day of the year. I was born. Your queen was born on that day.
You look like a queen in that shirt.
And my windbreaker. I'm trying to I talk so much with my hands, but it is a swishy guy. So I'm trying to keep my arms wide so I don't swish too much into the microphone. Um, but we love to look at some basic energies in winter. So, winter, the season, the solstice is coming up on the 21st. Oh, this is
It's
airing on the
today.
solstice. It is today. For those
Happy
who are listening,
solstice.
happy solstice. We have Yule coming as well, which is something that I want to talk about. Um, but the solstice, the darkest day of the entire calendar year.
For
And
those
it
of us in
is,
the northern hemisphere.
oh, thank you. Yes, for those of us in the northern hemisphere, this is our winter solstice. For those in the other hemisphere, it is your summer solstice. God, should I know this?
Summer.
Basic geometry. Geometry. Oh my God. Oh, guys, I'm ready for a nap. Which brings us to winter. Um, the energy of winter is earth. The time of day is night, right? We've been talking about spring was the morning, summer is the afternoon, fall is the evening. We are now in night. We have, if we're talking years of our life, we are in the full adult crone years, 65 and above, the very wisdom from all that you have grown and learned through your many years. Um, as far as the moon cycle, new moon, no moon, dark moon, right? Like emptiness in the sky, the void, which also is the time of your period, right? That time of the start of your new cycle. This is it, which to me, sometimes when I think about that, I'm like, well, winter, is that really the start of our new cycle? It's kind of the end of the old cycle, the start of the new cycle, that
And this is why
transition.
men shouldn't dictate what women's bodies do or how to define what women's bodies do.
Say it again. Fuck you. I know my body. Uh-uh. But yeah, winter. What do you feel for winter? What energies do you feel come in for winter?
Mm. I personally love the darkness. I mean, I was born under a new moon. Well, a balsamic moon, which I know you think is so funny, but
I really do. I don't know why.
it is. I mean, it's a pretty dark time, right? And so I love my time alone to be that of rest and replenishment
Mm-hmm.
and regeneration. And I really, really need that alone time to recharge my battery as much as I'm a social little butterfly, which is funny how social we are around the holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then come the new year, I feel like that's when people start to like reassess everything and um of course, set new goals, which I do wanna kinda touch on
Me
briefly.
too.
I
Me
love a
too.
good goal. We didn't even talk about that
I
one.
know.
Um, but yeah, I love me the void.
And that's exactly what winter is. It's the void, it's the in between, the crossroads. But more importantly, like Victoria said, it's the rest, it's the recovery. In the fall episode, we talked about the harvest and your abundance of harvest and saving some of that for the winter. And it's that concept of you've worked so hard throughout the year and you've planned and you've put in this action, and now it's time to be able to reflect and recover, and you've done all the work to be able to do so, right? That's why we follow the seasons of the year. That's why we follow the monthly cycles, because you want to do the work to be able to rest, right? I was reading in a book that I mentioned last time. I have it out here because there's a beautiful, beautiful poem I want to read about winter at the end. So stay tuned for that. But the Witch's Herbal Apothecary, they mention this story about thinking of your period, right, as in the cycle of winter, and how if you can prepare, if you track your cycles and prepare for that wintering, for that rest, the rest of your month is actually really vital and beautiful. So where we and she mentions how we think in our day-to-day life, right? The holiday season, the new year, that we don't have that opportunity to rest. If we allow ourselves to do so, if we plan to do so, she mentions how this woman set up babysitters and set up play dates and pre-made meals and got frozen meals and all these things in order to have, for that month, 4 days of rest, 4 days where she was able to just recover and let her body, rejuvenate in the way that it needs to during a period. Is the same way we want to look at winter, setting ourselves up for that period of rest, that period of incubation that Victoria has mentioned before, as we're in the in between states.
Mm. I love the in between.
Hmm.
Here's the fact of the matter. Stillness, going inward, is a very uncomfortable thing for a
Hmm.
lot of people. Understandably so, because we're not really taught the skills on how to harness this energy as a tool for our soul's evolution and healing to take place.
Mm.
And while sleeping and dreaming, well, sleeping is one of the most healing things you can offer your body. I read or heard recently that the reason why we need 8 hours of sleep is because our brain, oh man, we're not spitting out facts or science here, but let me just try to bullshit this answer. But basically, in order for your brain to clean itself, literally clean
Mm.
itself of any stagnant matter, or what I like to just visualize as being like intrusive thoughts, or
Yeah, yeah.
just clouded matter that makes
Clutter.
up clutter. Yes, exactly, right? So that's why it's so important, because your brain, it's almost like a that it's like a dishwasher cycle, like that your
Mm,
brain needs a certain amount of time for the cleaning process to take place. And so if you're someone who like has a lot of uninterrupted sleep, or just struggled to stay asleep throughout the night, your whole cleaning process may not be taking place, which in your waking hour, it's, I think, that much more vital that you take moments of meditation
mm,
and doing the things to calm your nervous system in order to help that brain cleaning process.
mhm. And it's interesting because when I'm thinking about how to talk about the energies of winter, my brain immediately goes to like referencing the fall, right? That harvest and what we can, but now you're also linking in that spring, right? That spring
Hmm.
cleaning that does come after this moment of rest and evaluation. So, what we're doing in winter is a lot of reflection. What has come through? What did we carry? What baggage did we let go of? Right? It's this unraveling of all that we've been giving this year. It's being able to peel away the layers, right? Thinking about being in the cocoon of winter before the rebirthing period of spring, being in that cocoon and fully unraveling, fully decomposing all that you have cultivated that year to see what's left. And a lot of that comes with grieving and loss of what you may have thought you missed out on that year, or what you actually did lose that year, whether it be parts of yourself or physical loss, physical grieving. But it's this time of being completely dissolved so that way you have space for rebirth in the spring. But sometimes I think about that process as being a blink of the eye, right? Oh, I shed this and now I'm ready for rebirth. Winter's 3 months long. So it's being 1 foot in that realm of where you were and 1 foot of where you're going to be, that in between. But that requires a lot of stillness and listening, because that's where in this darkness, in this void, that's where you're going to get the seed for your next creation, right? There was a quote, hold on, I have it written somewhere. Um, Unraveling yourself so you can drop into deep restorative rest, release the self into oneness with the earth, right? Full hibernation mode, fully releasing who you are, these identities, to be oneness with the earth and becoming pregnant with the dreams of Gaia, right? That's the quote, being pregnant with the dreams of Gaia. That's when you're in that stillness space, you're in that void, and the spark of creation comes in, that spark of light that's like, here's the seed, here's the medicine that will be needed for the next cycle. But we don't allow ourselves to get that if we're continuously running during this part of our cycle. So I'm glad that you brought up the holiday season. I'm glad that you brought up New Year's and the goal, because I think we fight against, and this is part of the like, I shouldn't even say patriarchal, but this is part of the societal programming that we have, that our worth is part of our productivity. And if we slow down, we're not worthy. So we're taught to continuously run. We're taught to continuously spend money and give and like be external, right? And find that externalness, because they want us to avoid the internal. That's where our power is, right? So when we're looking at things like the holiday season, how can you honor Yule and the holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate, still in stillness, still internal? And my friend Kayla came out to visit and she talked about how she's pushing back on these holidays because they actually, like consumerism and like just like there, a lot of them are based on like really terrible tragedies, and uh, especially of the roots of indigenous people and the pagan holidays that they stem from. So, but how do we still celebrate our year and allow for stillness? And I think a piece of that is stepping back into your own medicine and saying, may my gift be something I've created, that my hands created for you, that I sat in stillness and found what is best for you, not just this consumer mindset of, let me give you all the gifts that maybe you didn't buy yourself this year, but what medicine can I offer you, whether it be through acts of service or something that I've created myself. That's a little piece of how we can regain that stillness during this time while we're celebrating Yule and the holidays.
Hmm. It is safe to be still. It is
Mm.
safe to turn inward. For many on the spiritual path, there is a point that you encounter called the dark night of the soul.
Mm.
And when I think of winter, I think of the dark night of the soul. Sometimes people call it hermit mode. Um, but essentially, what it means is a point in your life where, whether caused by you or other circumstances, maybe universally speaking, or God, um, who I'd like to say, since our episode that came out on Thanksgiving, the
Mhm.
celebration of
Culture.
cultures,
Yeah.
I really have like started developing a new relationship with God.
Mhm.
And
Me too.
I'm not afraid, girl,
I
like
know. I just
like
want to
I'm not afraid
note
to
that
say
Victoria
God
and
anymore.
I, yeah, and can I just note for the podcast, for the record, Victoria and I have not talked in quite a while since maybe the last
Intentionally,
recording. Yes.
intentionally, because we always give our juice away in our voice notes.
Yes. So I love, because I'm feeling that same way. I'm taking God back.
I think 2024 is going to be the year of God, but the way we interpret God.
Mhm.
Um, all respect to whatever religion you practice and how it
Absolutely.
served you and your evolution up until this point. But yeah, God is up to your own interpretation.
Mm.
So,
Ashi.
Ashi, back to hermit mode,
Mm.
or dark night of the soul. It's really like all of these factors in your life unraveling where it feels like everything is falling apart. Whether it could be
Mm.
externally in your life or it could feel like that internally.
Mhm.
For me right now, thankfully, it's mostly happening internally. It's
Mhm.
equally as intense and painful and liberating, but it's a little bit easier to face all this shit when you're not like having to figure out like where you're going to live or how you're going to eat and like all,
Mhm.
the basic human needs that I really pray that we all get to experience here on this planet.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, the dark night of the soul is just you get to face your shadow.
Mhm.
I like how I just raised my tone for my octave for that because it
Because
is
you're
like
integrating your shadow, girl.
remember I couldn't even talk about my shadow at the beginning this year. I
Yes.
was like, I'm afraid of it. I really I was like, I'm afraid of my own shadow.
Wait, I'll have you know, I was over her house a couple weeks ago, and she genuinely got scared of her shadow. Like, that is not a lie. Both internally and externally, this woman is afraid of her shadow, but is learning to not, and I'm proud of you.
I'm just startled by it sometimes, right? I face
But
it.
who ain't?
I face it. But yeah,
Mm.
it it was like my witchy nose. It was like literally I could see like the outline of my like nose and chin and I'm like, "Wow, I'm a witch."
You're crone. You're entering your crone era.
My Baba Yaga.
Yes. But I love that you mentioned like the dark what
Dark Night of the Soul.
thank you. I was like dark moon of the who? Yeah. The dark night of the soul, because that piece, when we talk about winter, and that's why we talk about the age and the time of day and your monthly cycle, because we've mentioned it before, probably in season 1. It's like Russian dolls, right? Those like little figure inside a figure inside a figure. It's a cycle inside a cycle inside a cycle. It's your daily cycle. You'll always need this wintering. You'll always need this rest. It's your monthly cycle. You'll always need that time of rest each month. Your yearly cycle and your lifetime. So you're always having this moment of wintering. And if you're avoiding that and not meeting with your shadow and not unraveling and not having this dark night of the soul, then you're resisting that. And that's where, as we mentioned in the last episode, you're going to hear the screaming. That's where my mom calls it the energetic bitch slap, where like your guides are going to come in and be like, hello, where the fuck have you been? We have been screaming for you, and you have been avoiding us by avoiding the stillness, by avoiding going inward. It is so crucial to your physical body, emotional body, mental body, spiritual body for you to take that moment of rest. And I think something that I want to be very clear is just that. You have many bodies that are requiring rest. So asking yourself, what does rest look like for me? And for a lot of people, that looks like sitting on the couch and watching a movie or doom scrolling. And like, hey, that's physical rest. That may even be emotional rest, but it's not spiritual or mental rest, my friend. So it's okay to sometimes compartmentalize, but making sure that every day you're giving all of those bodies rest. How can you fuel your body and what's the word I'm looking for? Regenerate your body, whether it be in different modalities or one modality, right? I teach my kids that yoga, the practice of yoga, can hit all of those bodies. And if we're looking at rest, I can still interpret yoga in that way with yoga nidra or restorative yoga or yin yoga. That's allowing me to rest my physical body. It's resting my mental body by focusing on my breath, my emotional body by releasing, and my spiritual body by resting and being able to listen, right? So thinking about, what does your rest look like, and is it actually restful to all pieces of your being, right? There was a question from that book, a journal prompt, which we love to add the journal prompts in the description, so we'll put them as well, but it was, if there was nothing I need to do, what would I do? Can we enjoy the passing of time? Can we just be observers of time passing without feeling the need to be or do something? That is the ultimate rest, is being able to observe the passage of time. Are you capable of doing that? It's barely no, like, or barely for me, but it's a practice that I need to instill and still need to work on, and probably will for the rest of my life, with my little OCD brain in the back being like, you need to do this and you need to do that. That mental load is heavy for me. So I need to find ways and continuously practice ways in resting my mind.
Mhm. In a world that is constantly telling us to go, 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 do, do,
Mm-hmm.
do. Why have I said that? I
Do,
feel
do,
like do,
do.
do, do.
And it was just the beginning of the season. So you're wrapping up the season with your do mind. And I love it. Do.
No do.
No do. And what, like, some ways that I think can be helpful. One of the ways is what you mentioned last episode, a sound bath. That is a great thing to do, even if it's just from your headphones, from a video online, if you can't get to a sound
Mhm.
bath where you are, or even if that doesn't resonate with you, and just sitting in nature and listening, if you can bundle up enough and be outside, but just being able to listen and relax the body. That's how we get those intuitive messages for what comes next, what needs to be planted, what's the medicine we need. Or a physical bath. That's
Mm,
so real. A
yeah.
warm bath at
Water.
night to
Mhm.
rest your body, to go to sleep, right? We know cold showers wake us up. A warm shower is going to toast your body up.
Wait, what's the element of winter? I forget.
Earth,
Oh,
earth,
for my
that
little earth
earthing,
baby, my little Capricorn.
that earthing, that grounding, right? There was another one that I read about, observing a day of silence. And I've done that before, and the mouth had a hard time. But what I realize is, when you're observing a day of silence, it's also input. So no music, no speaking to anybody else or listening. When I did it, they even suggested no reading or journaling. And I was like, well, all right, you girls got
Mm.
to journal. I got to get those thoughts out somehow, you know? So I guess I cheated the program I was running, but having a day of silence and just like being able to sit with yourself fully without the distraction of music and movies and podcasts and other people, and just observing the passing of time. That's going to be my goal, is try to find more time to observe the passing of time. Go out in the morning and watch the sunrise and watch the sunset. Not fully rise because you're going, well, actually, I'm up for work now, but whatever, that's besides the fact. It also sets our circadian rhythm to see the sun rising and the sunset. Another thing society tells us, that we should be working when the sun's going down, but our body is telling you no, fight the system. But not during winter, rest. Fight in the spring or the summer, you know?
I think it's time we define the system. We own the system now. I also think 2024 is going to be the year of like dominatrix energy coming from the feminine. Like,
Okay. I'm sorry. Are you literally in my brain or what? Because you've been asking me what I've been doing in my spiritual classes, and it is we're working Magdalene right now, girl. We're
My
bringing in the
homegirl.
Christ feminine next year. So you're right on with me as you look like the Magdalene right now.
Thank you.
I
Like,
have 2 points left. So,
okay. I feel like I had started to say something and then I didn't finish my thought, but so is life. So is this podcast. So are the days of our lives.
literally.
What are your 2 points?
Well, thinking about redefining society and talking about like how they want us to keep working. I think another hidden trick that they've been playing on us is this concept of New Year's resolutions in the way that
Mm,
they need to be played out. So, as we rest and listen, we are receiving our next steps for the next part of our cycle, not to be taken yet. Right? We're told January 1st, you got to start going to the gym. You got to start. That is so against what our body is asking for in that moment. Your body is getting these ideas for you to then sit with a little bit longer. Okay, my physical health is what's coming up. Okay, well, how can I put that into practice? How can that look in my real day to day life? Not immediately get up in the dead of fucking winter and start running every day or start
mhm,
like doing all
mhm.
these like really active things because that's what we're told is you make these resolutions and you be really active and it's the start of the cycle. But it's not. Spring is where we start to utilize that. So I feel that New Year's is a great time of reflection, a great time of planting the seed in your brain for you to then sit with for another month and start to think of how the actions can play out. Sit with that feeling of what it would mean to embody that fully, but not be forced to take action. That's why so many people start January 1st and flop by January 15th because you're not meant to start then, you're meant to start in the spring.
Although one thing that I like seeing people do is take a break from alcohol in the month of January.
Mm,
You know, alcohol is such a numbing substance that zaps your spirit from all of its essence. And um, I think in this winter time, it's really important to tend to your gut and what you're eating and consuming. Well, I think that all times of the year, but especially how you're filling the void
mm,
because the void is so present, right? And you know, alcohol is a tricky one for so many of us where it's
mhm,
either part of our social conditioning, where it's easy and convenient and it's just what you do, or it's what you need in order to be social.
mhm,
And I really feel for people who need a little dose of feeling loosey goosey in order to go out there and share themselves with the world. And I think this time of turning inward and yet having to be social is a good time to experiment.
mm.
And I think COVID has allowed us to just all be like fully weirdos, right? Like I think we're at this point where we're just showing up as the best we can, or just the fact that we showed up at all. But it's all about learning how to sit in the uncomfortable, and I think that's, why so many of us turn to plant medicine, um,
Mm,
or those good old mushrooms, right? I think of mushrooms in the winter, and I do believe mushrooms boost your immune system better than any other substance out there,
yep.
especially when there are all these colds and such going on. So, shout out to mushrooms.
We love you.
I know I've talked about this on episodes past, but the state of nothingness being the most potent and powerful time, or one of them, right?
Mm,
I think we spend so much focusing on the polarity of things feeling good or bad. But that in between state is so unsettling if you've never experienced it before. And it looks and feels like total darkness. And like you have zero guidance, and the only thing that is guiding your way is your intuition and trust and how connected you are to your own divinity and your higher self. And so it's a good time to practice listening, feeling. So many people
Mm.
avoid feeling, which I'm like, how cool that you get that choice. I don't get that choice.
Yeah,
I'm like, anyone with Scorpio in their chart,
short.
anyone with Scorpio in their chart does not get the choice to not feel. So,
Mhm.
or any water sign. But to that point, I I encourage you, yeah, I think there are so many ways on how to best utilize hermit mode or being in the void, or dark night of the soul is kind of like the exaggerated version of those two. But um yeah, I guess Tara and I are both encouraging you to try the nothingness. Try the
Mhm.
nothingness out, knowing that we're providing our testimonials that it is so worth it in the end, because you get this sense of clarity and peace that I think we're all longing for at this point.
Mm. And it really shows you how much you're locked into the matrix. Because once you're in stillness and in nothingness, and you're so uncomfortable that you're not doing anything, myself, I recognize like how much programming I'm running. And in that discomfort, it allows me to detach, because once I allow myself to feel my feelings and how uncomfortable it feels, I can sit and go, why is it so uncomfortable for me to sleep a little later
Mhm.
when I have nothing to do? Or why is it so uncomfortable for me to say, you know what? I'm going to do that tomorrow. Is it truly uncomfortable? Like, is my space dirty and it's uncomfortable? Like, maybe, yeah. But like, or is it just this programming that I'm running? That stillness really allows to see what you're running and then make that choice for yourself to say, is this what I want to be running come next year? Or am I ready to shift into something different?
You're probably ready to shift into something different. Which who knows who will be next year? You never know who's going to show up.
I don't know who I am tomorrow. Bitch, I could barely remember who I was yesterday.
Facts, facts.
As it is, my body is like shaking, getting weak.
Mm.
It's like,
Yeah,
girl,
yeah.
you need to rest. You're talking about rest. Why ain't you resting? And I'm like, child,
Well,
I have rested all day. And they're like, that ain't enough.
have you really?
No. I did a lot of work today, actually. I did a lot of not physical work, which is why my brain tells me I haven't done anything. But I've done a
Mm.
lot of energetic and spiritual work today. So my body is exhausted. That stuff exhausts your physical body as well. That's where
It
I'm
sure
sitting.
does. Mm. Rest to integrate, rest to regenerate,
Mm.
rest to meet a new version of yourself that is ready to face the dawn of time.
I love that.
Will you read me a poem? Will
I
you
will
read
read
us
you.
a poem?
I will read you all a poem. So this is a poem from the Witch's Herbal Apothecary. And what she does each chapter is she tunes into Gaia, and this is called Gaia Speaks, right? So this is her words. Shh. It is winter. It is dark. Stay still, silent. Listen. Snow muffles sound, and we dream, hibernating in the folds of Earth's mother's flesh. Find your cave. Enter, enter your portal. Dark moon, like a womb, the fertile void. All things come from here, and her darkness will return, to die and be reborn again and again. In this moment, we pause between in breath and exhale, between death and rebirth. The void, no thing, deep dream of renewal, Dissolve. Dissolve into me. Let your bones exhale into the decomposing soils below. Let your mind spill the black ink into the sky. Become one with the great mystery. In the moments of merging, the great dream will enter the threads of your web. And when you awaken, you will be pregnant with the great song humming in your cells and in the space between. In all of your secret places, the primordial sound, you an instrument tuned to the song of creation, hum by hum, of deep time, timeless, no time, rest.
Mm, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for reading. Thank you, listeners, for joining us on this journey. It is the end of the year, last episode. We are so excited to see you next year and have so much good juiciness to bring to you. But for now, our hearts are infinitely grateful and so full.
Mm.
Thank you so much for the support. We love you so dearly.
We love you so much. Thank you for honoring our rest as we take off. We will be back in February 2nd.
First,
Whatever that Thursday is, you guys look at a calendar, you'll get it. We'll be back and we need this much needed rest. So as we take our rest, we hope that you take yours as well. We love you.
ciao.